October 8th, 2000, Game 4 of the National League Division Series. The visiting San Francisco Giants are set to take on the New York Mets. The Mets were up 2-1 in this best-of-5 series. A win here would clinch the series for them. A win for the Giants here would not only tie the series, it would set up the do-or-die Game 5 in San Francisco with their ace on the mound. New York sent longtime Met Bobby Jones to the mound to start this game, and it's nothing short of a miracle that Jones is on the mound tonight. Jones was the longest tenured Met at the time of this game, playing in his 8th season with them. He was drafted in the first round of the 1991 draft and made his big league debut 2 years later. Ever since he was drafted, Jones has never played for another team besides the Mets. He had a few good seasons with New York and even earned an All-Star Game selection in 1997. In that year, he won 15 games and recorded a 3.63 ERA. Since then, it hasn't been smooth sailing for the pitcher. Jones's 1999 season was cut short by injuries, limiting him to just 12 games, where he recorded an ERA of 5.61 that year. He was left off the Mets postseason roster in '99 as the Mets looked elsewhere for starters. The beginning of 2000 didn't fare well for Jones either. He allowed 12 earned runs over his first 3 games of the year, good enough for an ERA over 16. He was demoted to the minor leagues following the dreadful start. Jones started more games than any other pitcher for the Mets in the '90s and suddenly found himself out of the majors 2 weeks into the season. He would eventually return a month later, but had a very up and down season all year. He had an ERA over 8 through June, but finished the season strong with an ERA under 4. Overall in 2000, Jones posted a 5.16 ERA, 5.18 FIP, and a 1.422 WHIP. Excluding his injury-shortened season, those were all career highs for him. Entering the All-Star break in 1997, Jones had a 3.08 ERA. He came in to pitch the 8th inning of the All-Star game and recorded strikeouts of Ken Griffey Jr. and Mark McGwire, the absolute highlight of his career at that point. Since that All-Star game, Jones has pitched to an ERA of 4.66. In the last 2 seasons alone, Jones has an ERA of 5.21 over 214 innings pitched. Not exactly postseason caliber. Despite the struggles, Jones was added to the Mets playoff roster. New York's top 3 starters, Mike Hampton, Al Leiter, and Rick Reed, started games 1 through 3 respectively. Needing somebody in Game 4, Mets skipper Bobby Valentine turned it over to Bobby Jones, of all pitchers. Other than the aforementioned 4 starters, the only other pitcher on the Mets who started more than 5 games during the regular season was lefty Glendon Rusch. Rusch recorded a much better ERA than Jones and pitched in more innings during the regular season. Why did Bobby Valentine start Jones in a crucial Game 4 over Rusch? I have no idea. This point was even mentioned by the broadcasters during the game.
Well, Bobby Valentine had to answer a lot of questions about the fact that he was starting Bobby Jones, because a lot of people were wondering why he didn't start Rusch, who was part of the 3 consecutive left-handers he started against the Giants here late in the season when they beat the Giants 3 games in a row.
Rusch pitched in the second to last game of the regular season for the Mets, and on just 3 days rest, pitched in Game 1 in relief. However, he only threw 8 pitches in that game. Rusch did not pitch in Games 2 or 3, and Game 4 would have also been on 3 days rest. I don't think it would have been a crazy idea to have Rusch start this game, seeing he was the better pitcher and only had an 8-pitch performance sandwiched between starts. At first, I thought perhaps Jones had success against the Giants in his career. Do you want to know how he performed against the current Giants hitters? Entering this game, the current Giants players collectively hit .290 with a .343 on-base percentage and a .570 slugging percentage against Jones in his career. That's a .913 OPS. By comparison, there were 152 players to have at least 3,000 plate appearances from 1993, which is the year that Jones made his debut, to 2000. A .913 OPS would rank 23rd out of 152. that 570 slugging would rank 12th. In other words, the Giants were hitting at an elite level against Jones in his career. Maybe you know something I don't, but alas, the Mets season fell in the hands of Bobby Jones. A win here, and the Mets will advance to the League Championship Series. A loss, and they'll have to play a do-or-die Game 5 on the road versus Livan Hernandez. Hernandez threw 7 1/3 innings of one-run ball against the Mets in Game 1. Including that Game 1, Hernandez holds a sparkling 2.75 career playoff ERA across 36 innings. Up until this point, he's pitched in 6 playoff games and has 5 wins. He's perhaps best remembered for breaking the National League playoff single-game strikeout record, fanning 15 Braves in Game 5 of the 1997 National League Championship Series. He's one of the last pitchers the Mets want to face, especially in a do-or-die game. Bobby Jones was a lifetime Met at this point, and the longest tenured one at the time. He was with New York during their lowest point in 1993 and their highest point in the playoffs right now. After nearly a decade with the same organization, he was about to make his first and possibly only playoff appearance. Sporting an 85-mile-per-hour fastball, he had to face the team that led the Major League in wins that season. A team that included that season's MVP, Jeff Kent, and then 3-time MVP winner Barry Bonds. Maybe you've heard of him. Perhaps it's only right if the man who's been here the longest was given the chance to send his team to the next level. It's poetic in a way, like the saying how a captain goes down with his ship. It ought to be Jones's responsibility to either send the Mets to the League Championship Series or to a dreadful winner-take-all game. So, how did he do?
Work in the Fresno era.
Bernard chases another high one out into left center. Payton calling off Agbayani. 3-2 the count. Miller chases ball 4. And Alfonso throws him out.
Every day, and sometimes you get a little timid.
And Bonds chases the high one.
He has not driven in any runs.
The second, there is Alfonso. 1 away. Into the hole, backhanded by Border. He got it. Get over here. Right to Zeal. 2 perfect innings for Bobby Jones, scoring over 900 runs. Curveball that fooled him, and Zeal takes it to his mouth while on the mound. Strike 3 call. Bernard, the only Giant to have hit the ball out of the infield so far. And the curveball, he just did. No, he's out.
Well, he shouldn't be out. He tagged it with the ball in his other hand. And secondly, I'm not so sure he didn't get a piece of that.
Allowed a base runner facing Marvin Bernard. He bunts it down off the plate. Piazza in fair ground, throws him out. It was a 2-run homer by Ventura. Seals got it. He'll take it himself. Out number 2. Jeff Kent would be next. Strike 3 call. Kent at second. Went to right field, deep. Playable for Perez on the warning track. Kent tags up, and he'll move over to third. 230. And 2 base runners on. High in the air. Fairly shallow left. Kent is tagging. And he is bluffing. Right to Ventura. High in the air. Alfonso in shallow right. And the Giants have left them loaded. The Giants leadoff man in this series. Wow.
Very key in the top half and the bottom half.
Going back is Payton. Out number 2. In the 4th inning. The curveball. Out into left field. The edge of the warning track. Agbayani.
Too much, so you have to try to put a little
Kent to third, and a nice pickup by Ventura. One away. So Kent had the only hit to Burks. Popped up. Shallow center. Jay Payton. Out number 2.
That's the key to his success today.
And one. Alfonso, plenty of time. 2 down. Or rather 3 down. That's the inning. Just like that. Out there with the bullpen coach. Really look at the shallow right field. That is caught by Perez. Get back. Perez after it again. Easy. 2 down. Bobby Jones had had only one complete game since 1997. Had a shutout since 1997. Curveball popped up. Seal. And that's 8. 1-hit shutout innings for Bobby Jones. 7 perfect innings. Seal. Jones with the putter. 1 away. The second, Alfonso, 2 gone. And it all goes to the shoulders of Barry Bonds. Bonds with 494 career home runs, 17th on the all-time list, but never to a World Series. To center, Payton. And Bobby Jones has done it. A 1-hit shutout, a masterpiece. And the Mets have defeated the Giants. And they are heading for St. Louis.